The 80s were the decade when Kit prowled the streets and Airwolf patrolled the skies. When a school teacher stepped up to serve as the greatest American hero. And when a government scientist took his first quantum leap back in time to put right what once went wrong. Video arcade games, and arcades for that matter, were increasing in popularity and introduced us to a movie that centered around a video game that proved to be more than what it appeared.
Greetings, Starfighter. You have been recruited by the Star League to defend the frontier against Zur and the Kodan Armada.
Yeah.
Greetings, everyone. What a memorable catchphrase from an innovative 80s movie. Mike here with Sci-Fi and More Express, and welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, welcome to our Team Sci-Fi family, where nostalgic positivity reigns supreme. So, rumors started swirling again that the Last Starfighter sequel potentially could still happen. The Last Starfighter firmly established itself as part of the canon of great 80s science fiction and fantasy films upon its release in 1984. Directed by Nick Castle, who initially found fame playing Michael Myers in John Carpenter's Halloween in 1978, tells the tale of Alex Rogan, portrayed by Lance Guest, a young high schooler from a trailer park who aces an arcade game and sets the high score. Little does he know, however, that this arcade game was really a test of his abilities as an actual starfighter, which leads him to being recruited into the Star League to defend the frontier against Zur and the Kodan Armada. When Alex realizes that he's been drafted into a real war, he declines his chance to be a hero and demands to be taken back to Earth. Fortunately, this turns out to be a good thing for the galaxy at large, as the enemy Armada soon after launches an attack on the secret base of the Star League, killing the rest of its recruits and leaving Alex as the only one left alive. He thusly agrees to serve as the last Starfighter, and the rest is history.
I did my best. I thought Kathy was great. I thought Press was great. I thought Dan was great. Everybody that was in it. I don't know. I just think it's a good idea, and it had the right tone. A lot of people liked that. They liked the tone. And it sort of has the distinction of being the CGI, bit of a groundbreaker for the old CGI, or at least one of them, one of the very, very first ones. So a lot of people get excited about that since that's become such a massive component of movie making nowadays.
The film was revolutionary for its computer-generated effects, following in the footsteps of Tron. At one point, Gene Siskel argued that it was the best of all the Star Wars imitators, and it's hard to disagree with that assessment. The film wasn't exactly a runaway hit at the box office, where it fell a little short of doubling its $15 million budget, but it soon became a bigger success thanks to the home video market. However, there was also a time where the movie all but vanished and became quite difficult to track down due to its production company, Lorimar, going defunct.
What I get with films like The Last Starfighter or Night of the Comet is how important these movies were to them as kids in such a pivotal time in their life. A lot of the kids saw these films when they were, or a lot of their adults now, saw these films when they were, young teenagers, and this was maybe the first film that they got to see by themselves. So the film sort of stuck with them, not only in terms of the story that they could relate to, but even just the time in their life that they saw it. And so all these years later, literally 30 years later, I'm so grateful how they hold these films close to their hearts still. And that's one of the biggest comments, is how, this is my favorite movie of all time. It holds up today. I get "You Were My First Crush" a lot from The Last Starfighter, or in something like Night of the Comet, the two leads were young female girls that could actually defend themselves in an apocalypse, which is unusual. You don't see that very often, but it's great for girls to see that kind of thing. So we have the best fans.
Eventually, Lorimar was absorbed by Warner Brothers, although the rights to the film are still extremely tangled. Indeed, with different entities each having a piece of the existing rights, that vastly complicates the chances of a sequel finally coming to pass. Folks have been holding out hope for a Last Starfighter sequel for a long time. Rogue One, a Star Wars story co-writer Gary Whitta actually spent years trying to get one off the ground with cooperation from the original film's writer, Jonathan Betchwell. Unfortunately, the project appeared to be dead in the water in 2022, at which point Whitta took to Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it these days, to tell his followers the sequel will likely never happen, though not for a lack of trying. Basically, the post stated that he and Betchwell had tried their best, but just couldn't get the film out of the development nightmare it was in. The last attempt to make the sequel to The Last Starfighter faced an enemy more powerful than Zur and the Kodan Armada: intellectual property rights law. In early March 2025, director Nick Castle updated fans of his efforts to produce a long-awaited sequel to this 1984 sci-fi classic at the Indiana Comic Convention. Like many of the other attempts over the years, Castle said his current project is up against a complex web of legal technicalities, with the rights to The Last Starfighter broken up and dispersed among various entities. There's still hope, but it's growing slim. Now, the version of the sequel that Gary Whitta and Jonathan Betchwell previously worked on together would have been called The Last Starfighters, and seen Alex pass the torch to the next generation of starfighters and his own progeny. Whether that project is officially dead or not is still a little up in the air, but with recent updates on that from Castle himself, fans might have something to smile about. So relax, Nick Castle is still trying to make a Last Starfighter sequel, and I am all for it. I'm here for it if he does that. While at the Indiana Comic Convention, Castle was speaking at a spotlight panel when the matter of a sequel, or possibly even a reboot, of The Last Starfighter came up. God, I hate reboots. But he was adamant that he would not like to see the film rebooted. Thank you, Nick Castle. Stating that, to be sure, there was something magical about the original. A reboot would only detract from that sensation. With that out of the way, Castle went on to discuss the prospect of a new movie set in the Last Starfighter universe. He revealed that he's currently working with Betchwell on a script for a sequel to the original film, one that would essentially pick up in real time some 40-plus years later. But while Castle made no indication as to whether this particular screenplay was brand new, or a fresh draft of the wit-habitual screenplay that had been previously put out there, he did state that work is still being done, meaning the sequel is actively making progress of some kind. According to Castle, the biggest challenge is making the script work for today's audiences. As he sees it, the sequel needs to strike a balance between creating something that is new to moviegoers that have never seen the world of The Last Starfighter and something that could be understood that will feel like something familiar for those of us that have seen The Last Starfighter and are fans of the original film. More than that, it seems Castle doesn't want anyone to feel like they have to watch the original movie in order to enjoy this new installment. Overall, Castle sounded optimistic that he and Betchel can make their script. Getting the actual film greenlit, on the other hand, will still be a challenge. One that we can only hope they'll work out. For now, fans can only cross their fingers and voice their support if they're still hoping for this sequel 40 years later. The Last Starfighter is available to rent or purchase on Prime Video, Apple TV, and on YouTube. And there you have it, Cosmic Core. We hope you have enjoyed our updates on a potential sequel to 1984's The Last Starfighter. And if you did, please be sure to like and share the video. And don't forget to subscribe so we can continue our sci-fi journey together as a team. But what did you think? Would you be excited for a Last Starfighter sequel? I know I would. Let us know in the comments below. Guys, thank you all so very much for your continued support of our channel. You are all the greatest sci-fi team on YouTube. And have a great galactic day, everyone.